our first Legal Tuesday session with Kelly Bagla. I
Yay!
know, right? Very exciting. Very
Very
exciting.
exciting, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing this, Kelly. I know there's a lot of questions out there in the world, legal questions that most business owners have, including myself, um, on what to do, what not to do, how to stay on the right side of the path. And so for that, we need people who have the expertise like you do. And so we really appreciative of you taking the time to doing this. And since this is
Absolutely.
our first show, we want to kind of say that we're going to do this show the first and third Tuesday of the month to
Yes,
start with, right? So
yes.
and we plan on starting at 2 p.m. On those Tuesdays. So welcome, Kelly, and just wanted to get us started. But before we do, I would like to kind of give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself, introduce your law firm, and just a brief description of what you do and who you are.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, Joe, to give back to the veteran community and to business owners in general as well. I have been practicing corporate law for about 17 years now. I've had my own firm for 10 years. It's called Bagla Law Firm. I've loved every moment of it. So I'm not just a business attorney, but I'm also a business owner. So I know the pains, Joe, that business owners actually go through. And I actually created, I'm the founder and the creator of the business legal life cycle. And it has 4 phases. There's the startup phase. Many business owners have numerous questions in the startup phase. There's the growth phase. That's an exciting phase, but again, it's riddled with, can I do this legally? Can I do that legally? What do I need to do here to protect my assets legally? And then we have the established phase, and then eventually a business owner gets to reap all the hard work that he or she has done when they exit the business. And so those are the 4 phases of a business legal life cycle. And we have multiple questions regarding those phases as well. I'm actually an award-winning corporate attorney, Joe. I've
Okay.
received multiple awards for the innovation that I've created. And I'm also the founder, Joe, of GoLegalYourself.com. And that's an exciting company that I started about 3 years ago. So that I highly recommend the audience to go to GoLegalYourself.com, have a look at some of the information there. And also, I provide a lot of legal information on BaglaLaw.com as well.
Well, that's very exciting, and congratulations on your awards.
Thank you.
Totally well deserved. And I know you're also an author. You write for a veteran magazine, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. I author a monthly column for San Diego Veterans Magazine and also Homeland Magazine. And that's been such a joy and a pleasure to make sure that our veterans are kept up to par as far as legal goes. And there's some really, really good, just business related topics associated with those magazines as well.
Well, that's really awesome, and thank you very much for serving our fellow veterans.
Thank
That's,
you.
yeah, really appreciate it. And with that is the kind of dive into the question on because of the when we are in the military, there is we kind of live in a little bit of a different world. In different rules apply. So when we go into the civilian world, we want to do things the right way. But it's a new set of rules that we need to start with.
Yes.
So what I did, I kind of set out to kind of survey some of the questions that some of the veterans have, especially when they're getting ready to transition into a civilian world, and how would they start their business. So although that we focus today, and we kind of give it a theme of LLC corporation theme, those came back a lot like that. So what I did, I kind of summarized those into 4 questions that we can address today with your help. How's that?
Sounds wonderful. And
Okay.
actually, those are quite common questions as well. So I'm so glad that you bring these out.
Okay, cool. So the first question that I have is kind of odd, but they said, what does it mean when a state is considering an entity, a foreign entity. There were concerns about if this was something to do with doing business internationally, or what does the state mean when they say, is your entity going to be formed as a foreign entity? Can you explain that to us?
Absolutely. So let's take the state of California, because that's where you and I live.
Right.
And when a business owner decides to register their company to actually form a real company, it could be either an LLC, a limited liability company, or a corporation, they have to register that with the state of California. Now, the state of California, wherever you incorporate, wherever you register your company initially, that becomes the domicile home of your corporation. So if it's in California, then it's going to be a domestic corporation because we're in California. Now, if I take that same entity, Joe, and I say I'm going to go to Delaware. Now, in Delaware, that entity becomes a foreign entity because I'm not domiciled in California. Let's switch this around slightly. Say even though we live in California, we want to incorporate in Delaware because Delaware has all these fantastic pro-business laws on the books, and so you know exactly it's going to be business friendly. So we're going to incorporate in Delaware. And now, because we do live in California and we do business here in California, we are required by California law to file in California as a foreign entity. Now, because we are domiciled and we created the business in Delaware, now that becomes a domestic entity. We have to file in California. Now it becomes a foreign entity in California. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So it has nothing to do with doing business internationally. It has to do with out of state or within the state, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that was very clear. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And I got like several people asking the same question.
It can be quite confusing, yes, if you've never done this before, yes.
Right, yeah, confusing. The second part, the second question was, says, I form an LLC in Chicago and move to California. Can I still use the previous LLC? I guess kind of similar to the question that you were addressing before, but can they still use the same entity in California that they use in Chicago?
The question to that is absolutely. If you file as say you want to keep your Chicago entity for whatever reason you want to, say you still have a company in Chicago, you still want to headquarter it there, you still have employees there, plus you have longevity, right? So you don't want to just sort of dissolve a company and start brand new again in a different state just because you've moved. Now you lose the longevity of the company, the reputation of the company, its credit as well. So the answer to that question is yes, you can. You can actually keep the Chicago company, but you can file here in California as a foreign entity. Oh,
I see. So it's kind of continues with the explanation of the first question.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. Is there an additional expense for setting up a foreign entity, let's say in the state of California? Would it be an additional cost?
Yes, there is an additional cost, but that cost is usually goes to the state because you are filing with the state itself. Now, if I may just clarify a little bit more on that question, Joe.
Sure.
If somebody wanted to actually move from Chicago, physically move their business from Chicago to California, rather than just have it registered in California as a foreign entity, they can do that. California allows certain states to actually move domiciles into California. So Chicago would be one of those on the list that we would have to look into first. And if that's the case, then yes, absolutely. Your existing Chicago company can become an existing California company.
Oh, that's interesting. So that way they don't have to lose the longevity, and they can still basically move the whole entity from state to state.
Exactly.
They don't have to have two state registrations.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Which that brings to the follow-up question on that is, if you have a corporation in Chicago and a corporation in California, what are the requirements of the business owner who is now in California to the Chicago entity? Do they still have to do the reporting there? What are the requirements for that business owner to do?
Yes, so if you are going to keep both entities in two different states, now each state has its own reporting requirements to the state. So for example, California, let's just take California as an example. California requires that if you are incorporated, you're going to register in California, then you have to follow California law regarding that entity. The main reason why somebody would want to incorporate is to protect their personal assets, Joe. So I always get this question. I know it wasn't sort of a question that
right.
is from you, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're asking me, right? So okay. California says, okay, we will provide you with that limited liability protection, which means that if you get sued as a business owner, the creditors can only go after your business and not you personally. Now, California allows that only if you follow their corporate compliance. Now, they're saying that we'll provide you with that protection, but you have to follow our rules and our regulations. And one of those rules is California requires you to do a yearly filing with the state of California. And you can do that through something that's called a statement of information. It's very, very inexpensive. You can actually do it right there online. And for a corporation, it's $25. It's really nothing. And for an LLC, it's $20. And you go right to the state secretary of website, and then you fill out the information. The state wants to keep current information on the business, such as the address. If you want to change the name of the company, you have to do that through state filing as well. So the really bare minimum that California requires is you pay, you do the yearly filing, which is the statement of information, plus you have to pay the yearly franchise tax fee as well in California. And California is unique in a sense where it likes to charge a lot more money than other states, if you will. So the franchise tax here is about $800. It can go to $900 depending on sort of your income level. But if you are in both states and you want to be in good standing in both states, you have to pay the separate franchise tax in both states plus their state compliance forms. Okay.
Well, that's so setting up multiple companies in multiple states could get a little complicated.
Absolutely, yes. That's why you need a really good business attorney to stay on top of all of this.
Absolutely. So that's why we have you to help us with that.
There you go. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Okay. The next one is someone who formed an LLC already. And one of the questions was that they came up with was, if I form the LLC and there is a request or a question whether I should file as check as a sole proprietor for tax purposes, or I should do a corporation, like be taxed as a corporation. Can you explain the difference on those?
I can, but a big, huge, massive disclaimer, Joe, I am not a tax professional. And that being said, the business owner really, really needs to sit down with their accountant or CPA, because it really is based on the individual's tax situation. Now, for example, if you wanted your LLC to be taxed as a corporation, right now the corporate tax is what, 21%? If that's way lower than your individual, which is sole proprietor, individual, let's say the highest is what, 37%? So I think you would benefit right from the top as being a corporate, being taxed as a corporation rather than sole proprietor. So you really have to sort of sit down with your accountant or CPA and run the numbers there. That's the difference between the two.
Well, and that makes sense, because if the income level of the sole proprietors, or that they can take advantage of tax write-offs and stuff, it may be just a wash. So if my understanding is correctly, so it will be cheaper to as a sole proprietor, but I like your advice to talking to the tax person so they can figure out the numbers.
Exactly.
So we'll focus on the legal side of aspect of it.
Exactly.
Right.
But just touching upon that too, Joe, as a team, right? So a business owner can definitely benefit from having a professional team on their side. Obviously, one is a really good business attorney, and the other one is a really good accountant or CPA. Make sure that you create a relationship with someone in that position that can advise you as you go along. Because again, it's not how much you make. It's about how much you can keep, right?
Right, absolutely. It's how much goes in, how much stays behind. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And to kind of augment on your comment, you're totally right. There's three people that I call the three musketeers when I teach my classes. This is the three musketeers. That's the attorney, the tax person, and the business coach. Those go. They're the three musketeers of the business.
There you go. Go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Well, I do have one last question, and we can let you kind of address it however you need to. It may be a two-part question, so we can to kind of maybe next show we can address the other part. But the question was is on the growth side of the business. So they are the wanting to grow the company. So they have a company that hires contractors, and they want to expand their company to multiple states. And they want to kind of set up as a business opportunity formatting. How would that work if that question made any sense?
You have to share a little more information with me on that, Joe.
The question that I received from this veteran was that they have a business in existence, and they want to offer the business for the people to purchase as a business opportunity, and they have potential buyers in 3 states already. So what would be the best way to sell that opportunity to those people?
Oh, now you're getting into the more exciting law that we love to practice, right?
Awesome.
Exactly. So now not only do you have a fantastic business model that people are actually wanting to follow, the first steps on that would be to make sure that you actually own that business model. And what I mean by that is that at least make sure you've trademarked the name, because it's the name that you're going to be giving out. For example, Subway or Pizza Hut, right? They're all franchises, and they only make money from a title that's well known. Everybody knows Subway, so it doesn't matter if you go down to the local Subway. You don't care who owns it. You care that it's the Subway brand. So one, you have to make sure that you protect those assets by trademarking the name. Two, you have to really have some sort of internal procedure that you can actually sell as part of the name bundle to the individuals in different states that are interested in running exactly the same model in their state. So you have to come up with these procedures, and we can absolutely help there. And then three, you have to really figure out here, is this something that I want to license? Do I want to license the name only and let them have at it? Or do I want to provide them with the whole package so they stay consistent to your business model, which falls under a franchise model? So there's a licensing model, and then there's a franchise model too.
Oh. So there is a difference between the franchising and the licensing model.
Absolutely. Huge difference.
We don't have time to go too much into detail on that, but can you give us a kind of snippet of what the difference is?
Yeah, so with a licensing, you literally, as the creator of the entity, you just provide them with the rights to use the name, and that is it. And with a franchise, and the rights to use meaning you provide them with the rights, and then they pay back royalty to you for the use of the name. With a franchise model, you actually set everything up for them. You put the policies and procedures in place, and you give them training on how you do business here so they can follow the exact same plan in a different state. And that also has a royalty a royalty attached to it as well, as far as you being paid by franchisees.
So you get royalties either way. It's just your choice on how to approach it.
Right, but if you are looking to expand, say for example, as this person that asked this question, that they already have 3 people in 3 different states that are interested in running the same business. Well, this to me sounds like a franchise type of style, because one, you want to make sure that they are running the exact same type of business that you're running here. You want to make sure that they stay honest to that. You want to make sure that they're following your policies and procedures. Otherwise, they can take what you have given them, they can change things around, they can say, now it's mine, and then they can start selling that concept. So you want to make sure that you're protecting your assets and your income in both scenarios.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Kelly, for that information. And I know that question, once I reply to the veteran, is going to come back with more questions, which I'll reserve those for our next session in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. This is so exciting, Joe.
I know, this is really great, but we are out of time. So thank you very much, Kelly, for this Legal Tuesdays. And I'm looking forward for more veterans taking advantage of this, because I think it's awesome. Like, again, even just as a business owners, we always have legal questions. We always have tax questions.
Of course.
And we're really appreciative finding people like you who are very supportive of the veteran community. And I really appreciate your time, your pro bono time, I may add. So, so thank you very much, Kelly. And I'll connect with you again in 2 weeks for our next Legal Tuesday questions.
I'll see you then, Joe. Thank you. It's a privilege.
Thank you. It is an honor. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Thank you.
And for this, we are basically running out of time. We wanted to keep this short and sweet, but we want to continue to ask questions. If you have questions you want to send us, so we can bring those questions forward to Kelly, and she can give us clear and concise answers, please do so, and either through our website or through our newsletter, and we'll be happy to bring those questions forward as we did today. Again, thank you very much. This is Joe Molina from the Veteran Chamber of Commerce, and Kelly from Bagla Law Firm, thanking you for your participation in the show. And thank you, Kelly, very much, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
See you then.
Thank you.